Level Up Latina partners with working women and mamas alike to guide them in achieving fulfilling career and life goals through financial empowerment, professional or leadership coaching, and personal wellness. Find the unique coaching you need to succeed.
You're listening to Vero, Ceci, and Irene, and we are Level Up Latina.
Welcome back to another episode of the Level Up Latina podcast. This week we have Georgina Villareal as our guest. Georgina, or Nurse Georgie, as we know her, is a registered nurse who has taken healthcare to another level. The pandemic made her realize she was pouring from an empty cup and needed to level up on her own health. So thank you, Georgie, for being here today with us. We're excited to have you and learn about your journey. So welcome. And how are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and meet all of you guys. I've been following you forever, so thank you for having me. I'm doing great. Woke up this morning, had my coffee, ready to get some editing and videos done today. I have a lot. I hired a coach recently to help me with my online fitness business, and that's been a total game changer for me. I've gone through a lot of transitions, I guess we can say, from nursing to, I've been a nurse, I can't believe it, already 7 years. And the pandemic really taught me a lot about who I am and where I want to be and how important health is for me. I went into, nursing really focused on health promotion and health education. And so it's been really amazing, being able to teach nurses nutrition and fitness and everything. So I'm excited to talk about that today.
That's really cool. I'm glad you mentioned that. I feel that many times that we go through different transitions and different changes, we kind of get a chance to reinvent ourselves. We not in a sense we start from scratch, but you start from experience. You're just oh, you know what? I've learned from this. I think this is who I am now. I'm gonna evolve into this. So I'm really excited to hear how all of this happened with you. So before we jump into that juicy stuff, kind of let us know, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you grew up, all this good stuff, and kind of how maybe you, kind of got inspired or motivated to become a nurse.
So I am full Mexicana. My family's from Zacatecas, Mexico City. And I, first generation in my family, my parents had me very young at 18, 19. So I grew up with very young parents. My mom and my dad were high school sweethearts. And my stepdad raised me. My father went to prison when I was 4 years old. So I didn't really have him in my life. But my stepdad is Colombian, and he pretty much raised me when he was 18 years old. So I have Colombian in my family too. My sister, my little brother. So I grew up with two really young parents. They didn't really get to go to college. They were super hardworking. They were entrepreneurs, owned a really amazing rim business. So I saw them at 25 years old owning multiple rim businesses in Miami. And they built a house from scratch at 25. So I remember when I was little, I would sleep in their car, as they were working really late at night. But I just had the funnest life. And I just saw really hardworking parents. But because of that, I lived a very different, non-traditional life. I would say we moved a lot. And my parents were always trying to do the best for us. And they always told me, just make sure you go to college. We didn't get to go to college. Make sure you go to college. We lived in Miami till I was probably 11. So I lived there most of my life, and then moved back to California, where we, had most of my mom's side of the family. My good grandma had leukemia, which is actually why we moved from Miami to California. And that I think was the first time that I was around cancer and illness, but I felt a calling to take care of my grandma. She was very nurturing. And so when I was in high school, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. That was kind of the first spark of nursing for me, because I was going to the hospitals with my grandma. And at one point she was in hospice, and I basically fell in love with her nurses. And that was the first calling that I think that I had for nursing.
I'm glad you shared that with us. I know that the first I learned about you was you kind of reached out to us. We were doing our spotlights on different mujeres on Level Up Latina. and you reached out like, hey, I want to highlight my mom. And I became a recent mom. Obviously I didn't become a young mom, but I became a mom later in life at 35. And now I have 4 little ones, right? And I loved how you were just like, I want to spotlight my mom. Can we do that? My mom, worked so hard, was a young parent. And I was like, this is amazing. Like the love and the respect that you had for your mom for her hard work, really was beautiful. Like you wanting to share that with the world. And that's how we kind of started. Like we had already been following you and learning about you, and then you wanting to do that. And I think that her life has really made an impact in how you have grown up and decided to make certain decisions and live life the way you live it. So that's pretty amazing to have strong mujeres like that just don't give up, and learning about your grandma and having cancer and getting sick, like how that opened your eyes to like, hey, there's some amazing women doing this kind of work that maybe I could have a little bit of in it. A lot of times I think we get afraid of that. Like, I don't know anyone like this. So how can I become that? And I'm glad that you're like, this is cool. Correct. I love these ladies. These ladies are cool. So in getting in that first notion of like, this is what maybe nursing can be for me. How did that start? And then how did you decide that you were going to become a traveling nurse? And how was that experience? Tell us a little about that. And then what does that mean? Like with our listeners, like what is a traveling nurse and regular nurse kind of deal?
So I have very empowering, inspiring women in my life. And my mom always put into my head that si se puede, you can do anything that you set your mind to, like chase your dreams, you can do anything. And I grew up an athlete most of my life. So I played soccer, I did gymnastics, I did track, and I was always really good. Like I would say like I was a really good athlete. And so for nursing, that was like a big challenge for me. I think like I wasn't your straight A student in high school. I was a social butterfly. I was getting in trouble for not paying attention in class, or like just showing up late to class because I was just taking my time, or talking outside. And I was like your Saturday trash. Like I had Saturday school sometimes for like getting refractions, like in high school. And, but everyone loved me for just being a social butterfly and just like comunidad. I was like trying to like make sure everyone was having fun in class. So it was just really funny. I thought I was going to go into like arts. I like excelled in like drama. But I think like once I met that nurse while my grandma was sick in high school, and she was Latina. I forgot to mention that. She was a Latina nurse. She was 25 years old. She told me she had a red Mercedes, and she told me, if there's one thing I can tell you, she's like, work your butt off for 2 years, go to nursing school. This job will change your life and you'll get to do what I'm doing. And my grandma loved her. And like, almost like my grandma's dying last words were like, please mija, like go be a nurse if like you want to be a nurse, like she's amazing. And like once your grandma tells you that, like you can't not do it. Like, oh my gosh. So I went online and I was just like, how do you become a nurse? Literally Googled it. How do you become a nurse? Like what schools can I go to become a nurse? And then I started looking up statistics for like Latino scholarships. And I saw the numbers that like only 7% of nurses were Latino, and then only less than 5% had like master's degrees. And I was like, oh my gosh, but it became a challenge for me because I'm so competitive. And I was like, I'm going to get into it. And I remember my GLC, my like, guidance counselor in high school, was basically saying this is going to be really hard for me to get into. Like, good luck. And I was like, what a jerk. But I was like, I'm going to do it. So then again, I Googled like fun schools. So I found San Francisco State. And that literally was the best time of my life. Like San Francisco State was the most amazing time of my life. Like that city in itself is just so cultural. And they teach you about cultural diversity and cultural awareness. And I was able to get really involved in health promotion and nonprofit organizations. And that's how I got into health education with a public health emphasis. But then I wanted to travel. So, and San Francisco State is one of the best states to do study abroad. And so I think 30% of their students like study abroad, which is an insane number. So I went and studied in Spain for a year. And when I got back, I was just like ready. And I was like, okay, now I'm ready to like apply for nursing. So that's when I found the entry level master's program in nursing. And little hack trick, study abroad, I got straight A's. So it pushed my GPA up like over 3.5. So when I was applying to nursing school, it's like very competitive. I've always been like a B plus kind of student. It was really hard for me to get A's, but also my dad would like kick my butt if I got C's. He was like very strict. When I was in high school, like if I ever got a C plus, I would get grounded. And my sister is so smart. She had like full A pluses. So I was like always competing with my younger sister. And he's like, why can't you just like be A plus like your little sister? And I was like,
you're like, why can't she run faster? Huh? I mean, what can I say, Dad? What can I say?
I'm like, I do my best. I do my best. So, it was amazing. Like I came back, my GPA was great. I applied to nursing schools. I wrote a hell of a letter of intent on why it was like my life goal to be a nurse and why I was going to be the best nurse ever. And with my like health education background and my I learned Spanish fluently when I was in Spain. I felt like I was a great candidate for nursing. And I got accepted to USF and Rush in Chicago. And I was like, stay in San Francisco or spread my wings and go to Chicago. And they were giving me a diversity scholarship. Not full ride, but a good amount. And they didn't charge me out of state tuition. So it was like a no-brainer. I went to Chicago and again, hard time of my life. Like I was so lonely out there. But it was almost like a blessing in disguise because I didn't have any distractions. So while I was there, it was just like focus on school, just study. It was 2 years straight to get my master's degree. And I share this story on Instagram all the time, but the last semester before graduation, I didn't pass. And I was 1% away because you have to get 80% or more in nursing school to pass any class. I got a 79%. And I begged my professor to let me do extra credit, to let me retake tests, she said no. And I didn't get to graduate with my class that I had been with for 2 years. It was the saddest, most depressing time of my life. I literally thought I was a failure. And I was going to be an extra like $10,000 to do an extra semester. And I was working 3 jobs. All throughout college, I always worked 3 jobs. I always worked as a bartender. A lot of people worked as a nursing aide, and I worked as like a restaurant hostess and bartender just to make tips. And it really helped me get through school. And I think that's why I'm really good with people too, because like it also helped in that area. But I talk about that story all the time because this extra semester, the 3 months that I was in school, I was able to grow Rush University Diversity and Inclusion, an organization that I started over there. And I won a huge diversity award because I was able to really foster this community. It became the largest community on campus for like faculty, students, and to basically promote diversity and retain and recruit more diverse students in our university. And this was like nursing students, medical students, health professional students. So it was like the best time and again, a blessing in disguise. So that San Francisco gave me that, where like diversity and community are so important. And when you're in healthcare, I think it is very important because we have like a lot of Latino patients, and a lot of the times they don't get the correct care because there's no one that speaks their language and there's miscommunication there in care. So that's how we ended up in Chicago, and now I'm back home.
This is beautiful. Your story is so beautiful, Georgina. I love your name. I know that you go by Georgie, but I just love your name. You were absolutely relatable to us, at least. I think just your journey, the fact that you wanted to have a great education, but have fun. You wanted to be a bartender, not necessarily be a nurse today. You want to go abroad. You want to learn Spanish in Spain. You know, like so many wonderful things. Just, you have this sparkle. And I just keep thinking as I'm listening to you talk, I was like, you know, they say, I'm not a regular mom, I'm a cool mom. I keep thinking, you're not a regular nurse, you're a cool nurse. And when people see your Instagram, they're going to agree. But you're just so, sorry, nurses of the world, you're just so refreshingly unique and different to me. Something about you. I think this well-rounded balance that you keep talking about. And I think the true magic to being happy in your career is bringing your whole self into your career. And like, you couldn't not be this social butterfly, but you wanted to be a nurse. And some might say that to go into the nursing profession, you might have to be serious. You might have to be that nurse's aide. You might have to be that A student. And that is not actually true. You have to be yourself. And you seem to just have it. And that's exactly why, my partner's here and I wanted to have you on the show, because we just felt that you were such a great example of someone following their passions. And before we went live, you talked about getting money from an investor and just, you're so multifaceted. And this is the example we want for our listeners. So thank you for sharing and going into this level of detail. And just thank you for building your business the way that you built it. I'm checking out your Instagram as we chat, and it's very, very inspiring. So in talking about your Instagram and shifting a little bit, tell us when you decided to change the game. That's literally the question. Like, you had a breakthrough moment and you told us about your career. You told us about your journey getting to your career, but then you broke through and you were a nurse during a pandemic. We could probably have a whole show about that craziness. But when did you decide, Nurse Georgie, to change the game?
Definitely. Thank you. Okay. So it's a lot, because when I became a nurse, I remember while I was studying for NCLEX, which is our nursing boards, I had 3 to 4 months to kill while I was studying, because I get bored really easy. So I was like, I'm going to start a nurse brand. So I started making nurse clothes and nurse hats and nurse shirts, and they were diversity campaign clothes. So you had to wear the hat and say why you support diversity. So it was like a nurse life. Yeah.
Coolest nurse.
Yeah.
There's no one cooler.
You're going to laugh, because one of my shirts said the cool nurse is here.
I love that.
That was literally.
Of course it does.
With the horn.
I love it.
Literally. So you read my mind. So that was like my first little business. And so that was such a high. Do you know why? Because I launched on Instagram only having like 400 followers. I reached out to nurses that were diverse. I reached out to Latino nurses. I reached out to Black nurses. I reached out to LGBTQ nurses. I reached out to nurses who I was inspired by. And I said, I want to gift you a hat. And I didn't really understand marketing campaigns or anything like that. This was literally just me wanting to give them something and saying, will you post a picture? I had everyone, I think I sent it to like 11 people. And on the same day, I said, everyone post your picture with the Nurse Life hat. I kid you not, I got 100 orders the day of the launch. That was the biggest high ever. I was like, this is amazing. I love this. Yeah, so that was my first little like feeling of like, I did that. This is amazing. People support diversity, and then they love nurses love rocking nurse gear. We're very proud. We work really hard for this degree. And so we just love it. So it was really fun. That was like my first business. So I like to start off with saying that like nurse entrepreneurship has always been a part of me, like since before I was a nurse. And then while I was a nurse, things got really busy. You're working 3 to 4 12-hour long shifts. And so it's hard to start a business, but it's not impossible, because you have 3 days where you can really dedicate to like, whether you're a mom, your family, or a business. And for me, it was always a business. I love spending those extra days off, those 3 or 4 days off on my businesses. So I worked as a night shift nurse, day shift nurse, per diem nurse, part-time nurse. I worked in general medicine. I worked with oncology and cancer. I worked with telemetry. I tried a little bit of everything, orthopedics, trying to find out where like I was really passionate about. And I think I always want to be a travel nurse. Like after living in Spain for a year, I was like, travel nursing is just where I need to be. I also get bored very easily. So I like to hop around from hospitals. And so in order to be a travel nurse, you have to be a staff nurse for 2 years. So as soon as my 2 years hit, I applied for travel nursing. And the first place that I applied to was Chicago. And I went back to Chicago at the time because I was dating someone in Chicago. And it was really funny. I met this person in an Uber pool 3 months before I was supposed to leave.
Cool people do.
You're so hip and young.
Like cool
so hip and young.
You're going to meet someone in your Uber pool.
This story is so funny because we were like driving in an Uber, and then this person gets in my Uber and like gives me the face, and I was like, excuse me, and he goes, you're in my Uber. Like, I didn't order an Uber pool, I ordered a regular Uber. And I was like, bro, this get in or leave.
This is like a show. Someone must have written this into the show.
I was like, okay, well, you don't have to get in. He looked at me, he's like, oh, okay. He like gets in, and it was just the funniest thing. But we ended up like doing long distance, and I did my first assignment in Chicago, and that welcome to the world of travel nursing. And then the pandemic hits. So that was the loneliest time of my life. And I moved for someone that I deeply cared about. And this person was a medical resident, never saw them. Pandemic hit. I was all by myself. I gained like 30 pounds while I was working and working the pandemic, just lonely, completely isolated. There was a point where my whole family got COVID and I wasn't there for them. They were all in California. And at that moment, I was like, I can't live in Chicago forever. And I had asked my partner at the time, is there after residency, which was going to be like 4 years later, would you move to California with me? Like, I just realized I can't live in Chicago forever, and that family is everything to me. And I'm Latin. Like, we need to be around our family. And he was full Cuban. So he was like, well, I need to be around my family. And his family was like hardcore, like that my oldest son, and once again, he's like the doctor of the family. And so he wasn't leaving either. So I was like, it was sad. Like there was a point where we had to have a grown-up conversation, and I left, and, I made that decision for myself. And that was the hardest decision I ever made, because I really cared about this person, thought I was going to be with them forever. But it was the best decision that I ever made, because I made that decision for me, and I made that decision for my family. And I envisioned my dream life, and I was like, what is my dream life? And my dream life was being surrounded by my family, living by the beach, being able to be flexible with like my career, being able to travel whenever I wanted. And that was going to be impossible with that partner at the time. And here I am doing all the things that I wish that I was able to do. And I have like lived in my dream city in Huntington Beach, and met my dream man who also lives around here and wants to live at the beach and is an entrepreneur, and I'm surrounded by my family, and get to do what I love every day. So that was literally the hardest decision I ever made, but I'm so happy that I did it. And at the time, I thought my life was over, because I was restarting my whole life at like 27, 28 years old, and just so happy that I did it. So going back to your question, though,
I love this story. Tell me more. I mean,
I know. I want to hear.
I know.
Perfect time in your life. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
¿Cuándo es el cafecito?
But I know, seriously, I just wanted, I had to mention that part, because like that was so hard. That was so hard for me, because once again, my family was just like, you're crazy. Like, he is like such an amazing guy. He's an orthopedic surgeon. You're never going to have to worry about money again. He's going to take care of you. And I was like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me if I'm like living in this castle and I never see him. Like, if I have the most beautiful house and I never see my husband, and I don't get to see you, Mom, and I don't get to see you, Dad, and I don't get to see my brother grow. My brother is like 14 years old now, but like I didn't see him those whole 10 years because I was away in college. It took me like 8 years of college to like be a nurse. So I came back for family, and then when I came back, I was like, nursing is wonderful, but I want to start my own business. So I immediately started thinking about my exit strategy and going like part-time nursing. And the beautiful thing about travel nursing is that with travel nursing, you can get paid 2 to 5 times more a week than when you're a staff nurse. Okay. For staff nurse, you are paying for stability. You can get anywhere from, I think when I started out, I was only making like $5,000 a month, but nurses can get $5,000 to $10,000 a month, like as a staff nurse. But when you're a travel nurse, you get 3. I think at one point they were giving $8,000 a week as a COVID nurse, a crisis nurse. And I took an assignment in Joshua Tree. It was 8 weeks for that amount. And that was literally
bring it on.
I was like,
you got to stack it up.
You know what that showed me? It was like, it told me that, okay, so that if they could pay you $8K in a week, and they used to only pay you $2K a week, you're never going to want to go back to $2K a week. So then I was just like, okay, yeah, I was just like, well, it's the same work for not the same amount of money. And then that's when I was like, okay, well, what else can like help me make more money? Or, you know, and that's not working by the hour. That's becoming an entrepreneur and making your own business and setting your own hourly rate or your own base rate. And so that's when I started thinking about things that I can do. And at the time, I had told you in Chicago, I gained 30 pounds. And so when I moved back, I had to get my hot girl bod back, right? I couldn't be like, start dating again with like all that extra weight. So I went on Instagram, I was scrolling through Instagram and I found this couple. And one of the partners was a nutritionist and his fiance, who was so beautiful, was a fitness trainer. And they lived in Huntington Beach, which is where I had just moved. So I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit them up. He's going to be my nutritionist. She's going to be my trainer. I'm going to go work out and they're going to get me in shape. So I messaged him and I was like, how much do you charge? And I had saved money from travel nursing. So like money was not an issue for the first time in my life. For the first time in my life, I wasn't paycheck to paycheck. I had saved some money from travel nursing. I had saved $20,000 and I had said, this is going to go towards my new business, whatever that is, and getting my health back. Especially because I'd been an athlete my whole life. And it took 4 months for me to train with the trainer for 3 times a week, and for me to be on a fitness plan to lose like over 20 pounds, get so like lean and strong, get my energy back, get my confidence back, feel happy. I felt like I was on top of the world after I did this like 4-month program. And during these 4 months, I was sharing it online to Instagram and everyone was like, Georgie, what are you eating? Georgie, what are you doing for working out? And I was sharing like his information too. So I think over those 4 months, I probably sent like 20 people to this nutritionist and I had like kind of made it a thing. And nobody knows, but like if you want to lose weight, it's literally all nutrition. It's 80% nutrition. You don't have to work out at all because I didn't work out like the first 2 months that hard. It's just like really all nutrition. And so, that's how I got, honestly, that's how this whole thing started with online fitness and nutrition and habit coaching is I did my own program and, I was inspired by it. And even though this program changed my life, it wasn't specific to nursing and I needed to adjust the program to make it specific to nursing because you can't tell a nurse to eat 5-6 times a day when they're doing 12-hour shifts. We barely have time to like pee. And so that's how Healthcare Strong got brought up because I was just like, my background is health education, health promotion. I love fitness. I'm learning nutrition. I've learned so much in the last 2 years. And I was like, I can make a program for nurses and I am a nurse, so I can relate to them. And last year, so this month, it's officially 1 year that I haven't picked up a nursing shift. And I've been doing online fitness, nutrition training for nurses and healthcare workers.
So Healthcare Strong came and you never looked back.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you are an entrepreneur at heart.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just you. It's what you're meant to do.
No, I love it. I love it. I can't believe that I haven't picked up a shift. I've considered it. I'm like, I should probably go back to nursing because some months, I kid you not, you make 0. And other months I make money that I never thought, oh my gosh, I did this. Like the one time I made, what I made like in 3 months as a nurse in 1 month. And I was just like, this is amazing. I love being an entrepreneur. But then some months you make settle. So you're just like this little roller coaster. But I love it. I love it. I'm always learning. And I think like the coaching part, like hiring coaches and investing in coaches, because I've had many different coaches, because I still love learning. I'm a student always. And so that's probably been the best part.
Wow. But you could always go back. Like if you wanted to, you can like say, oh, I'm going to sign up for shifts if you wanted to, right?
Yeah, but I tried picking up a shift like maybe a couple months ago. I was like, Georgie, just go pick up a shift. And it said that like I needed my COVID vaccine booster and my TB test and I was missing a whole bunch of tests. And I was like, okay, this is going to take a while. I'm not going to pick up a shift.
Georgie was like, you know what, forget it. Let me just
I was like, never mind.
Make several hundreds of thousands.
I'm going for a run, bye.
On my entrepreneur journey. You know, like,
yeah. I was like,
Adios, bye.
it's beautiful. I'm really glad that you found your niche and your space, and it seems like you were thriving, and it's the entrepreneur's dream. And you also said that coaches make a huge difference. We couldn't agree more. Go ahead, my friend Ceci. I know you were going to share.
No, definitely. I love your story, Georgie. I love everything. You gave us a lot, or you have given us a lot of like great nuggets. One being, I love that you shared your story about the partner that you had in Chicago and your family saying, pero pues es buen muchacho, and what a great guy. And it totally relates to one of my coaching clients right now. She's going through that. She knows she doesn't want to be with this person, but the family loves him. And I know in her gut, she knows, and, she's in her mid-20s. And I'm like, right now, tú date tu vida, like, explore it. And because you're the one that is gonna, for lack of a better word, is like suffer the consequences later. Like say, tomorrow you're going to be unhappy with this person if you end up with this person. So thank you for sharing that, because I think this is something that women in their 20s, they're in a long-term relationship and it's hard for them to let go because of society pressures. You feel guilty, like, well, I've shared all these things with this person, but how do I step away? So thank you for sharing that story, because it really, I think it's something that's been going on with at least the women that we coach that are in their 20s and they're going through that struggle.
And in fact, we haven't shared a tip of the day. So we'll make that our tip of the day. Thank you so much, Sissy. We like to give one always, Georgie, for an episode to really have something really resonate. And it landed for Sissy and it landed for me. Like that was a big decision that you made. And a lot of women can relate to that decision of letting go of a relationship, because while it seems in paper wonderful, it's not going to meet all of your needs. And sure, you can have all the money in the world, but with your family not there, like that hit for me. Like I got that 1,000%. Like, ¿qué te cuesta a beautiful house in Chicago where it's snowing? Tu familia está aquí. The people that you would want to share this big, beautiful house with, right? In the beautiful sun and in the beautiful beach setting that you are in now. So that's a tip of the day, that you may think you have the right man and the right relationship, but it's not going to give you everything that you truly want. So follow your gut, follow these examples. Plenty of mujeres have looked back and thought, I had to make that very tough decision, but really be whole and find all of my, Vero's done it, I've done it. Like a lot of us have stories.
I did it too.
Away, wonderful relationships that could have worked
Bye,
out.
fiance.
See ya. People told us, why not? Georgie, mine was a lot like yours. She dropped the fiance thing on the home together, but mine was a lot like yours. Like this dude that I was with for years, he didn't want to travel. And I knew. He used to get homesick when we were on vacation. I was like, homie, what? I had just come back from living abroad. You know, like this ain't gonna work, homie. So everybody has their reason. Like follow it. That's the tip of the day.
No, I'm just like, I'm really just amazed by you. I'm really glad that you're like one of those young women that are just like, sabes que I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it. I have a strong support system. They might be next to me, but I know that what they've taught me and what I've learned along the way is that you can have what you want. And right now I do want someone to be in my life. I want someone to share my life with, not just because I want the house or I want this. So I think that what you've shared today is really an eye opener for young women that feel that they cannot do certain things, that the can'ts are just too much in their head, that they need to find a way to do it. They find their can, to be either, if that means leaving the boyfriend, or leaving, going out of state, making the move and making a sacrifice that might be, for you it was 8 years not seeing your little brother or being with your family, but you knew that at the end of the day, you wanted to be back, but on your terms, so you still went for it. And despite the fear, despite what my parents are going to say, despite all these things, and you did it. So I feel that it's very encouraging to hear from someone that's not in their cuarentas like ourselves. We're like Ceci's thing, cuarentonas y buenonas, for sure. We've lived life, but it's good to hear a refreshing, younger voice saying like, ladies, it's so possible. So I'm thrilled to have you. I'm glad we were able to make this work.
Oh, thank you. Me too. Thank you so much.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited to have you and to listen to your story. And yeah, like Vero said, like these are what you're sharing is things that we wish we would have, said to ourselves or done in our late 20s, or be open about it and be authentic. And so thank you for sharing. Like, again, these are great nuggets. You're a, well-rounded woman that's doing a lot, and you're showing women that they can be both. So this is a perfect segue, right, for to talk about this platform that you created, and we want to know more about. She can be both. From what we learned, it's like a media platform that you created to highlight women that are doing multiple careers or doing, being a mom and being a professional. So tell us about that. How did that start? What inspired you to create that?
That's actually a really good story. I was having brunch with my 2 Latina nurse sisters, and we're having our margaritas, and one of them, she's so smart. She had her master's degree too, from Johns Hopkins. Great, freaking #1 nursing school. And she was a published model. Super, super tall, beautiful Latina. And she was showing us her like sexy bikini photo shoot that she did. And I was like, oh my gosh, girl, you look amazing. And I was like, you're going to post this on Instagram? She's like, heck no. And I go, why not? She goes, because I don't want people to think of me as less of a nurse. And I go, but you're a nurse and you're a published model. You're both. And she goes, no, I just don't want anyone to see it. And I got kind of pissed off, and I was like, but you can be both. Like, you're a published model and you're a nurse. And then I started saying like, you can be this and you can be that. I hate how like people put us in one box. I hate how society puts us in one box. I hate how men put us in one box. Like, we are so many things. We are like multifaceted. So I went home that night and I asked her, I was like, can I post your photo for you?
Love that.
I know. And she goes, yes, Georgie. And I'm very persuasive. So I gave her,
I bet you are.
I gave her a whole spiel about why I needed to post her photo. And so she let me post her photo, and I put, she can be a master's degree registered nurse and a published model. And I put a side-by-side photo of her in her nursing outfit and her in her hot bikini. And then on top of that, I had a lot of other friends that I wanted to post. So in a matter of like 4 days, I must have posted on my personal Nurse Georgie Instagram, probably like a dozen nurses. They were specifically nurses. In a week, the hashtag she can be both went completely viral. I gained like 7,000 Instagram followers in like a week. And
if there's somebody that knows how to gain Instagram followers, honey, it's you.
I was like, help. Oh my God, it's going viral. Like, I just saw the number. I was like, this is insane. I had people reaching out to me like, Georgie, how do I post? Georgie, like, just so many people. And I had dietitians, and I had doctors, and I had dentists, people with hundreds of thousands of followers using the hashtag. And I was like, this is so freaking cool. And it's because women resonated with it. Like, everyone resonated with it. So yeah, it became a thing for like a year. I just kept posting like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I kept featuring people. And eventually I made it its own Instagram page. Now we have probably like 14,000 followers on that. And it's just like organic marketing, people sharing their Instagram photos with me, and my social media manager posting it for them. And then I recently made a website, shecanbeboth.com. And that, my goal for that, and that's really a hobby project. Like, I make no money off of that. If anything, I use a lot of money on that, spend a lot of money on that, but it's because I'm so passionate about it.
And it's you have to spend the money where you have the passion.
Yes. And so for that, it's basically a media platform. Right now, we have over 100 blogs of women who share the She Can Be Both message. So they thrive in multiple careers, and we've featured some of the most badass people. I became friends with like Liz Hernandez on Instagram too. She's like so freaking sweet. And she let us do a feature on her, and just so many amazing other Latinas too. But my plan for that is to really turn it into like a podcast and video vlog series where it's not just blogs, because we like video and media content too. I think people can relate to like the face, and I could see a lot of really fun media productions happening with that, but that's like a full-time job in itself. I have a really cool partnership with Cal State Fullerton where I have an official internship for bloggers and journalism students. So that was a really cool thing that I did. I reached out to Cal State Fullerton, and that's a little tip for you, for anyone. If you want someone in marketing or want someone in journalism, you can reach out to colleges and ask them for interns and make internship opportunities for people. So we had amazing interns for our blog. So all those 100 blogs have been free from the interns, and they've done amazing work. So I'm pro interns. I love you. Thank you.
Yes. Love me some interns. Oh yeah. I'm like in awe. Like we're getting close to the end, and I'm looking. At first I was like, I don't even know if she's like 25, but you mentioned that,
I'm 30. I'm 31.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. So I'm just amazed. I'm like, wow. I'm like, she's giving me advice that she was doing at 25 that I would take on right now. So right?
Yeah, for sure.
This is the question that we ask all our guests. Being a 25-year-old woman is you're growing, you become an adult, and you're going through so much life, right? So this is why we chose like 25 specifically. But anyway, that question is, what advice or words of wisdom would you give your 25-year-old self today?
Ooh. When I was 25, I was in my first year of nursing school too. But I would say, don't be scared, especially at 25, to be selfish. To write down exactly what your dream life looks like. Sit down, have your cafecito, and say, I want my dream life to look like this. I want to wake up every morning and do this. I want my day to go like this. My dream job is this. I want to make this much money. I want to spend this much time with my family. I want to travel to this many places in the world. And literally let that be your Bible and look at that every single day and know that you can achieve that you can have everything and do everything and manifest your life. Because everything that I have written down and read repeatedly, I have achieved. And it would have never happened if I didn't write it down and I didn't look at it every day. And that is why at 27, I left a long-term relationship to start my life over, because I was going to bed every night crying because I didn't have the life and I didn't think I was going to have the life that I had written down. And you are the creator and you are the writer of your story, like at the end of the day. And so just keep reading it. You can do it. Sky is the limit, and don't be afraid to be selfish with your goals, because when you're selfish with your goals, your life is just you'll always be in alignment on where you're supposed to be, and everything will fall into place. Like when I met my partner now, who has also done a lot of self-work on his self, we met each other at the perfect time because we had both done the work, and we both met each other at 30. And to a lot of people, that's late in the game to like meet your partner, but I don't think so. I think it was a perfect time. I think if we would have met each other any sooner, we wouldn't have even been ready for each other. Yeah. And so, be selfish. As a woman, especially as a Latina, it's hard to be selfish because our culture doesn't teach us to be selfish. Like everything is about the family and giving to others and putting ourselves last. But when you put yourself first, you're actually going to benefit your family the most.
That's beautiful. Amen to that. That's great tips for 25-year-olds and even for us. Manifest it, write it down. Things are not going to happen solitas, unless you work for them, unless you write them down, unless you're working towards those goals daily. So thank you for sharing those nuggets and experiences, and just, oh my God, we're in awe. And everything that you've said and you've shared. I met my husband when I was 31. So things work out. And
she had her beautiful twins, and she knew she was going to have her beautiful twins, and she had a long law career. It's like everybody goes at their pace. Mm-hmm. So 20-somethings listening to this, wait, you've got so much beautiful stuff unfolding. Yeah. Don't sleep on it, believe in it, but it's coming.
Do not compare yourself to other people either. You are on your own journey, your own timeline. It's going to pressure you when you be in only be inspired by what other people are doing, but do not compare yourself.
No, eso nunca. Oh my God, you've shared so many great things. You're doing so much. You're doing so much, and everything is amazing. From your platform, She Can Be Both, is also amazing. When you were saying how your friend didn't want to post any pictures, I took some sexy pictures for my 40th. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to post, and I had taken them like months, like 1 or 2 months before my 40th. And on my actual day of my 40th, I'm like, I don't know if I should post it. I'm like, maybe I'm just going to post this part and like cover that part. I ended up posting some, not all of them, but some. And then when I was posting, I was like, oh my God, I'm like, that it kind of shows part of my cooch.
Oh my God.
And she's like, then I think one of you guys were like, just leave it, it's fine, because I was like, I was nervous
It's
that
not her cooch.
It's just your labia.
We didn't have any real cooch. There's a little bit of side gorgeousness.
Side poof. It's all good.
Yeah,
Anyway.
These are stunning.
Fire.
You're stunning, by the way, Georgie. Estas fotos are freaking...
So funny.
But she is stunning, as you can see.
Gracias. No, but thank you, Georgie, for being here. Thank you for sharing all your great nuggets and your journey and your story and everything. Please tell our listeners how they can find you, your handles, and even if they want to be featured on She Can Do Both, like how do folks do that?
Yeah, you can reach me at nurse.georgie on Instagram. If you want to be featured on She Can Be Both, you can DM us at She Can Be Both on Instagram or email submissions at shecanbeboth.com. And if you are a healthcare worker that wants a personalized nutrition, fitness, and habit coaching program, they're typically 4 months to 8 months, depending on your goals. You can find me on Instagram at wearehealthcarestrong.com or email contact@wearehealthcarestrong.com.
Thank you. You heard it, girls or men, también if you're listening. How to find her.
Check out that Instagram, Absolute Goals. I just saw this one.
Yes, I know. I've been looking at it too.
Oh yeah, he's so fine. I look at him sometimes and I'm like, can you stop being so fine? Like he's also from Zacatecas. Like his family is like all from Zacatecas. Wait, can I tell you something? So his family is like
Sorry.
Yeah, he's too cute.
His too. Look at those.
Yeah,
like,
I don't have those anymore, but
You're my motivation for the summer. I'm gonna look.
I'll get you ladies on a plan. Just let me know.
Yeah,
I'll send you one.
We don't have to be nurses.
I can send you guys. You guys can do your own little challenge together. It really is just nutrition. So I got you.
Yeah.
Let me know.
You
I'd love to do that.
Zacatecas and your man. I'm like
story.
drooling over your photos. Please go back.
What was I gonna say? Oh no, I was just gonna say a funny fact. That like we were trying to track like our because our families are both from Zacatecas, and we found out that they're only like their pueblos are only like 20 minutes from each other. And his family is Trejo, but I have Trejo in my family too.
Like,
and some people have told us that we look alike. And I'm like, dude, what if we're like
Stop tracking, girl. Stop tracking.
I know. Literally, someone told me that.
Stop
They're like,
looking.
just stop. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mom, but what happened? She's like, no, you're good, Georgie. Don't
No,
worry.
you're good. As long as like it's far removed, you're good. I think my parents are like 5 or 6 generations, según primos, because they're from a small little pueblo.
Exactly.
And
Girl, I'll tell you something on here that not many people should know, but I know someone very close to me that their parents are pretty much like cousins. So don't worry. It's going to be okay. If you guys are the distant Trejos, it's all good. It all works out. Están viscos, they're not funny looking or anything, so you're going to be okay.
They're not okay. Good. That's all I care about. I was like, man.
Oh man, that is funny. Well, thank you again, Georgie, for being here. This was a great chat. Like as you can tell, no nos queremos ir. But thank you for being here, and for our listeners, if you want to reach out to Nurse Georgie for a plan or be featured, you know how to find her. También, if you want to continue the conversation or have questions that you want to ask her and want us to reach to her, you know how to find us through our Instagram. at Level Up Latina or Facebook. También our email is admin@leveluplatina.com. Check out our website if you're interested in booking an assessment or joining the Guilt-Free Squad, which is our group monthly coaching. Ahí es donde averiguan de eso. So thank you for listening. Thank you, Georgie, for being here today. You're a love, and we can't wait to see what else is up your sleeve.
Gracias.
Thank you. It's so much fun. You ladies are amazing. Thank you for continuing to inspire and have a platform for us Latinas and sharing the message. So appreciate and love you guys. So thank you.
Love you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Awesome. Gracias.
Thank you.